On Lee Sanders here. You're checking out a Wednesday night edition of the RCWR show, dropping for Wednesday night of April 29th, 2020. Here we go. We just got one more day left in the month of April, and that is it. We are going to be jumping to the month of May. Hard to believe that we're almost 6 months into this calendar year. I mean, it's slowly creeping up but surely, but that's the point that we're getting at right now. Crazy. Just crazy when I stop and I think about it. So tonight we're doing things a little bit simple. If you're following me on social media, I did kind of give you guys a heads up that I was running a little bit behind on the shows because I got a little bit of a late start after getting in from work. So I'm a couple of minutes removed from watching both shows. Did my best to fast forward through the commercials and everything. But at the time that I'm live recording this right now, it's 1:45 and I've got such a short turnaround to go back to work that tonight we're going to switch things up. I'm only going to talk about AEW Dynamite and tonight's NXT, and that's it. As far as, unless there's something dire, something that's pretty mainstream in the headlines that you insist I spend a couple of minutes talking about, what will end up happening is during the weekend, since I am going to be off during the weekend, I will put up some show excerpts on the YouTube channel of some thoughts on some random little pieces of news. One of those, I'll definitely give my thoughts about this week's new Dark Side of the Ring, covering the slap heard from around the world. I was looking forward to tonight. I gotta say, I was looking forward to tonight, and it didn't really dawn on me, my work schedule, until I actually was on my way to work. And sadly, I was saying to myself, and I was saying to the missus, I said, God damn, by the time I get off and by the time I get home and have dinner and everything, it's essentially going to be time for the show. And I'm used to getting you guys a 90-minute, 2-hour show, but I like to do it tonight, but I haven't really had a chance to kick back and relax tonight. So enjoy this show for what it's worth. I'm estimating that we're probably going to be doing this for at least the next 35 minutes, give or take. So without any further ado, let's jump at it, man. Let's see what we got going on here. So this week's shows, I got to give both shows thumbs up. Honestly, I gotta give both shows those thumbs up. They did pretty good. Let's first kick things off. Let's talk about tonight's AEW Dynamite here. So some of the matches that they had, of course, we had our 2 TNT Championship Tournament semifinal matches, a continuation here. So we finally know who's going to be in the finals for these respected, or for this respected tournament, I should say. Kicking things off for Dynamite tonight, we had the TNT Tournament semifinal match between Cody taking on Darby Allin. Got to give both of those guys a lot of props. Got to give AEW and just everything the way that tonight's show was laid out. I got to say, from a production standpoint, from a booking standpoint, the matches were laid out. I had no problem with the way it was set up. But kicking things off with this match, opening up AEW Dynamite for this week, no problem with that whatsoever. These two actually had a damn good match. They did. I love the fact that Cody went into this match doing his very best to represent himself and his brand, but also at the same time doing his very best to help put the spotlight on Darby Allin and putting him in a position where this is definitely a guy you need to be watching. Just everything that you've seen with Darby Allin in AEW for these past couple of months, it's obvious that, okay, higher ups, they definitely loved him some Darby Allin, and going into this match tonight, it definitely, if it wasn't obvious before, it should be very obvious right now that Darby Allin, AEW, bright future ahead of the young man. I've gone on record just once or twice, not a lot, but I've definitely gone on record saying how much of a fan I've quickly become of Darby Allin and everything. And I still don't quite see the whole Sting thing that people are talking about. And for me, I can admit maybe that's a whole size thing that without me really knowing it, maybe that's kind of something that I'm factoring in when I look at Darby Allin. But for me, he's definitely a more of a cooler hybrid of a Jeff Hardy. I know I've said that before, but yeah, he really reminds me of a younger version of Jeff Hardy, almost to the point if we were to get a Jeff Hardy today, almost essentially starting off his wrestling career and everything. It's almost, hey, this is the end result. You would get somebody like a Darby Allin. So that's how it kind of comes off to me. But I like the young man in Darby Allin. I love him tremendously. This is definitely a young man that continues to impress the hell out of me every single week. The psychology for this match, I had no problems with it whatsoever. Referee Aubrey Edwards didn't really do too much for me that was overkill or anything like that. She did her parts respectfully. Anytime I can kick back, enjoy a match, and I don't have to have a sour face and go, that goddamn Aubrey Edwards, it's a good night for me. It's a good night for me, because if I'm even thinking about her or mentioning her name, that means she did a little bit something that was overkill in my book and everything. Good finish to this match as well. I got to give a lot of props to the way they did this. So basically, closing moments of this matchup, Cody gets up on the top turnbuckle, tries to use Darby's signature, the coffin drop. Darby, if I remember it right, is able to get out of the way just in time, so Cody crashes pretty damn hard. But then Darby Allin gets on the offense for a little bit. Now he goes up, high risk, high reward maneuver from the top rope. He actually connects with the coffin drop. However, where things get really interesting, as you're watching it in real time, you're going, oh, Darby's got this. But then when you hear the music of Cody playing, you're going, well, wait a minute, what the hell did I just see here? But Darby connecting with the coffin drop goes for the pin, and the way he goes for the pin, he pretty much scoops up one of Cody's legs, and he's got his back, Darby that is, he has his back basically laying over the chest, stomach of Cody as he's going for the pin with that one leg of Cody's up in the air. And he didn't manage to properly secure both shoulders of Cody to the mat. And as a result of that, Cody actually was able to pretty much roll himself off of both shoulders. So he's leaning on the one as Aubrey Edwards does the 3 count. What would appear Darby got it. Actually, no, Cody got it. And then when they played it in slow motion, you can see what I'm talking about. It was a great finish and how they had set it up. I loved it. I definitely want to see both of these guys lock it up again. I like their chemistry together. I remember when they had formed a tag team several weeks back and everything. And yeah, I like these guys. I definitely want to see them lock it up again. Without a doubt. But Darby Allin, I'm pretty high on him. He's definitely got a bright future ahead of him. Definitely a bright future ahead of him. If you are checking this show out live right now, welcome. Mainly at this point, when I do come on live, I care more about people that are checking out the show on demand and on the downloads, because I do love when people check out the show on demand and on the downloads. I'm not really expecting that much traffic these days when we are live doing the show because of the new time that we're coming on. I know, right? I'm kind of optimistic like that. I kind of set my expectations kind of low because, when it's all said and done, we're coming on at 11 o'clock at night, or, pretty much close to the next calendar day. And so there's no telling what everybody is doing around this time, sadly. People have already probably watched the news, gotten ready to go to bed or whatever. But I digress. Point that I'm making is you're checking the show out live. Appreciate it. But at this point, I'm mainly just doing the show just to get the show out the way, have it be available for on demand, and then worry about editing the audio and everything next day. So our other TNT Championship Tournament semifinal matchup, that consisted of Lance Archer taking on Dustin Rhodes. Remember when I was offering a preview for this matchup as far as how I felt things were going to be going on, and I actually was very consistent from almost the start of this TNT tournament. I went on record saying, with everything that's going on with Lance Archer, you got to have this be Archer Cody for the finals, with Archer going over. That's the story that you really need to be telling right now. You need somebody that I feel would really, first TNT champion. I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as I would love to see Cody, I think if anybody needs the bigger rub, it's a guy like Lance Archer, having a great mouthpiece there, and Jake Roberts and everything. But I pretty much said from the beginning, we got to have it be Lance Archer taking on Cody. And as the tournament brackets, further we went deeper into the brackets and we saw that Dustin was advancing there, I said, okay, well, you got to do a scenario where borrow a page from Rocky and you have Lance Archer just destroy the living hell out of Dustin. And that's exactly what we got tonight. I gotta tell you, I wasn't expecting that much from Dustin, aka Goldust. Has he moved? Is it a case nowadays when you look at him, is he moving slower? Yes, he is moving a lot slower compared to the previous years. That's just Father Time catching up to him. I still get a slight smile on my face though when I do see him in the ring and he's throwing it down and everything. But these two, what I was mainly looking at when I was paying attention to this matchup was how well is Lance Archer able to hold himself up against a veteran like Dustin. And I thought he did well under the circumstances. Lance, the way they had this match set up, dominating on Dustin for a good majority of the matchup. At one point, Dustin gets busted open by the head area, around the head area there. I mean, he's just bleeding profusely, and Archer is just wailing on the guy. Brandy was at ringside the entire time, cheering on Dustin and everything. And I believe, I'm trying to figure out who grabbed the towel, because there was a white towel that came into the mix. I can't remember if it was Cody or if it was Brandy that introduced that white towel. But Cody actually did come by at ringside, and he actually was applying the towel to the head area of Dustin, trying to soak up some of that blood. And Dustin, you kind of hear him. It was a little bit inaudible, but you got the story that they were trying to tell. Dustin was basically telling Cody, whatever you do, don't throw the towel in on me. Let me go out on my terms. Let me do this myself. Lance Archer, not even trying to have that towel be thrown in there, he actually grabbed Dustin by the freaking leg and was just putting the hurting on him even more. Had a nice, with some authority, pin on his ass as he's just looking on at Cody. And you couldn't set up that finals bracket any better with the way that they had booked Lance Archer on this episode in advancing. And all right, next week it's going to be Lance Archer taking on Cody. It's pretty badass how they had that whole thing set up. And so, of course, if you're seeing that whole white towel scenario come about, Dustin saying don't throw in the towel and all this other shit, one of the first things that you're kind of saying to yourself is, oh shit, they're pulling a page out of Rocky 4. What the fuck? So I loved how they had set that up. That I gotta tell you, that was freaking hilarious on a lot of levels. I enjoyed that on a lot of levels. See, going further into the card here, bear with me a second here. I just want to do one quick thing here, and we're doing pretty good. All right, yeah, but they did pretty good with that. That thing was freaking hilarious, the way that they had that set up. All right, moving along.
And here goes Dustin.
Sorry about that, guys. Moving along here, we did see a video package by Dr. Brit Baker. Once again, she's in her beautiful, lovely dental office, and she's spewing her usual rhetoric. I love how she was taking jabs, her weekly jabs at that, at my man freaking Tony Schiavone. And that was just, I couldn't help but chuckle at that. And I loved how she was picking on Tony Schiavone's teeth, and then she's picking on his weight. And you're like, wait a minute, you know, it's kind of old here because Tony's actually lost a little bit of weight, and I can't really comment on his teeth because I don't really be looking at his mouth like that, so I can't really comment on that any further. But what was most interesting about that segment, and the reason why I'm going on and on about that, is we saw somebody that made a cameo in this little vignette. Somebody that used to be a TNA knockout, and apparently she's now doing work for AEW Wrestling, or All Elite Wrestling, I should say. And that woman is Rebel. Now, those of you that were big fans back in the day of the Impact Showdown series that we used to do covering Impact Wrestling and everything, you know that with regards to Rebel, that is somebody that I was very, very, extremely fond of some years back. And I almost didn't recognize her at first, because when you see her, she's wearing this long sleeve kind of baggy sweater. And when you're first looking at the sweater, you're kind of going, oh, you know, who's this pleasantly, you know, plump looking woman here? You know, cute looking face and everything. But the harder you look at the face, you go, wait a minute. And for me, I got her face down in about 30 seconds. And I said, holy shit, that's Rebel. And sure enough, I just do a little internet search, and yep, that's Rebel. A couple of things come into mind right now. One, and I'm not saying this to knock her in any type of way, because personally, I like my women thick. I can't believe how thick she's gotten. You know, now I'm sure that if you were to do a deeper internet search and you look at her from various points in her wrestling career and everything, you know, I'm sure her weight has probably fluctuated and all that. But for me, you know, I really started paying attention to her when she was doing her thing in TNA. I kind of remember around the, I want to say 2014 and on is when I kind of remember Rebel and her involvement in TNA. And that size that she had when she was in TNA, that's how I remember her. So to almost not recognize her, you know, the face is really what gave her away as far as me recognizing her almost instantly. But yeah, she's put on a little bit of thickness. Again, I ain't got no problem with it, but yeah, apparently she's now doing some stuff there for AEW, and it looks as though she is essentially I guess you want to call her maybe a future henchman, lackey, whatever you want to call her, for the lovely dentist Brit Baker. And that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what the two of them are going to be able to do together in the coming weeks, because I have a feeling that where there is Brit Baker, there is definitely gonna be freaking my girl Rebel. So I can't wait to see what she's gonna be able to do there. Rebel, by the way, for those of you that might be a little bit curious, Rebel is 41. Yeah, 41. So I don't really expect her to be doing that much in the ring. You know, if you were to pick my brain a little bit and ask me as far as, you know, what do I see of her in AEW besides being a henchman / lackey for Britt Baker, I could see maybe some handicap matches here and there. I could see maybe some tag matches. I'd be shocked if Rebel were to do something as far as singles competition goes. I'm just not seeing that right now. But then, hey, you know what? Stranger things have happened. I could be totally wrong. Let's keep rocking and rolling, keep moving along here. Let's see. Wardlow was in a squash match against Musa. Wish I could say a little something about that one, but I don't even think that match barely made it 2 minutes. You know, by the time you blinked, went and grabbed a glass of water, that match was essentially over. So, Wardlow, though, I gotta tell you, I'm getting a little bit bored with some of these people he's been facing and essentially been having some squash matches. I'm ready to see him have some serious competition. Honestly, what I would like to see, give me him versus Luchasaurus in the near future. If you want to really get my attention on some stuff, nice little program, give me Wardlow and Luchasaurus. I think those two might click pretty damn well together. No DQ match. Best Friends defeated Keith Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. Actually was a decent tag match, so we gotta give props to all of those guys. That actually was a good one. By the way, there was a new installment of the Bubbly Bunch. They basically did their own version of what's been trending on social media right now with the stunt doubles, and they've been throwing punches and the kicks, and it's kind of been this domino effect. I know you guys have seen it by now. If you have anything social media wise, if you've got the Instagram, the Twitter, or whatever, I know you guys have seen it by now, so I don't need to dive any further into that one. But we saw some interesting cameos of people in there. Virgil was in there. One of the guys from Fozzy was in there. I could have sworn also one of the guys from Velvet Revolver and Guns N' Roses was in there as well. I can't think of his name. Blonde hair. I can't think of his name right now. Tall, lanky guy, blonde fucking hair. I could have sworn I saw him in there. I think I saw Vicky Guerrero in there as well. It was interesting. It was interesting seeing those people in there. It was really, really interesting. Quite funny. I enjoyed this edition of the Bubbly Bunch more than last week. Last week was, because this is now as far as I know, their third installment doing something like this. So the first installment for me, that was a home fucking run. The Flim Flam, I'm sorry guys, call me, I'm not a boomer just yet, so I'm nowhere near a boomer. I won't be a boomer for at least 20, maybe 30 more years, I guess. But, for me, I didn't particularly care for the Flim Flam. I just was, okay, they're doing their own little Macarena, whatever. Didn't care for that. But what they did this week, with the all-star stunt double fighting and all that, I enjoyed that. That actually was pretty good. See, Sean Spears defeated Barian Black. Match was barely 3 minutes. Nothing you can really sink your teeth into with that one. So I gotta skip that one. Exalted won. Brody Lee beat the holy living shit out of Marco Stunt. I think we all expected that, but remember, I was on this show last week. So you can go back and you can check out last week's show. Without a doubt, I said on there, I could see some type of a scenario playing out where us fans at home, we already know that Brody's going to destroy the hell out of Marco Stunt, which is why somehow you need to have this match go in a direction where maybe Brody gets some type of count out or he gets DQ'd and he's continuing the assault on Marco Stunt. Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, they come to the scene. Evil Uno. Remember, I said all this last week, and ultimately it would set up a tag match involving these cats. So to just get the Exalted One, Brody Lee, just taking on Marco Stunt and destroying the living hell out of the poor kid, it did nothing for me. And if you remember, I even said on the show last week, if they don't go in a direction where it's gonna maybe turn into a tag match or whatever, then this is just silly. And I thought what went down tonight was essentially silly. But, it is what it is. You gotta take it for what it's worth. Now, peep this. So, you've got this show. By the way, AEW champion, World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley, there was a nice video package. He basically was saying, hey, I know we're going through some turbulent times right now. He basically had his own rendition of One Republic's Better Days. Just think about what we saw of him tonight. And basically he was saying, we're going through some rough stuff right now. I know it, but we're going to get through this. I look forward to entertaining you fans in the future. I look forward to the day when you all are back in the arenas, filling up those seats. I'm feeding off of your reaction and everything. But until that happens, you are going to be seeing me. Matter of fact, AEW is going to be live next week. Me, this heavyweight championship title, we're both going to be there. So see you on AEW next week. So, you know, there's a lot to look forward to there. And at least we get to see the champion there next week. Will he be in action? You know, that's the question. But peep this, aside from all of those things I had talked about. So you got, out of a 2-hour show, you got your first TNT tournament semifinal match. If you're lucky, that was about 20 minutes. Wardlow, Musa, all right, it's about maybe 23 if you're lucky. Best Friends, Kip Sabian, Jimmy Havoc, you know, maybe about 14 minutes, maybe about 15 minutes. So you're already up to 23, about 36 minutes. Sean Spears, Barry in Black, about 39. 143, 53. So about an hour and maybe 10 minutes of wrestling action when you add it all up out of a 2-hour show. You know, some of you may say, well, that's not really too bad, but when you look at some of these matches here, that's 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here, it's kind of like, kind of cheating a little bit. Add in a little bit more time to one of those matches. Which one? First off, the question you got to ask, were any of those matches worthy enough to, under the circumstances, were any of those matches worthy enough to even go up to about the 10-minute mark? And given who the opponent was on the opposite side, facing guys like a Wardlow or like a Sean Spears, or even to a certain degree, the Exalted One Brody Lee, you kind of say no. You kind of say no under the circumstances. But, you know, despite all that, you know, they did a good job. Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho, got to give them mad props. They did another solid job commentating this week. Really enjoying Jericho. I tell you what, whenever Jericho decides he wants to be done with pro wrestling, it really depends. Jericho can do any and everything his heart desires, but you know, if he has the knack for it and he doesn't mind continuing to do it, I think he has a very bright career ahead of himself there as a color commentator. And see, this is the thing that we all need to keep in mind too. It's not like this isn't the first time we've ever heard Jericho on commentating. You know, there were a couple of times there in WWE history where we did get to hear him on commentating, but not to the extent of what we've been having with him over the course of the past several weeks. I tell you this, I'm definitely going to miss him from the commentating. Matter of fact, when they were previewing next week's AEW Dynamite, matter of fact, him and Sammy Guevara, the Sexy Gods, they're actually going to be in action next week. And I wish I could remember the opponents that they are supposed to be taking on. Let me just look at my notes real quick here. Matter of fact, they are going to be taking on Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega. Looks like it's going to be in a street fight. MJF, he's going to be returning. Mox is going to be facing Kazarian, if I got this down right. Again, Mox, Jon Moxley, he's going to be in action against Kazarian. Hopefully I'm wrong with that, but I believe that's what's going to be going down next week. So, you know, not too shabby. We'll talk about ratings in a hot second. Let's keep it rocking and rolling, and let's talk NXT. And after we get done with NXT, like I said, we're doing it just for this week. We are just going to do a short version of our show. Normally, we like to go 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours plus for you guys, sprinkle in some wrestling headlines, some non-little wrestling headline, little tidbits that you guys should know about and everything. But I got such a short turnaround tomorrow with work. It's already tomorrow now. Well, depending on where you are, it's not, but over here on the East Coast, it's already the next day. I got a short turnaround, so I want to just decompress, enjoy some quality time with the family while I still can, and go to bed early tonight. So we're just going to talk about AEW NXT, and that's pretty much it. Unless there's something dire that you want me to spend a couple of minutes and dive into, if it can wait, then I'll make up this weekend. I'll drop some show excerpts. It'll be exclusive stuff, so I'll definitely give my 2 cents about the newest episode of Dark Side of the Ring, for example, Slap Heard Around the World. We could definitely talk a little bit more about the stuff that's been going on with Velveteen Dream. You know, I'll add a little bit more. I pretty much got into it, I believe, Monday. It was either Monday or last week that I got into it. But I definitely don't mind revisiting that again. So look out for that. We'll put some of that stuff out on the weekends. Again, and that's all new stuff. New stuff. It's just going to be broken down into clips, basically, for you guys to check out at your own accord there. All right, so NXT tonight. Keith Lee defended his... Actually, we saw 2 titles on the line this week. We saw the NXT North American Championship on the line. And if I am not mistaken, we also... No, that actually was not a title matchup. No, it wasn't. Sure as hell felt like it, but it actually wasn't. In my mind, it felt like it, but it wasn't. But my point, we did see 2 killer matches tonight. Keith Lee taking on Damien Priest for the NXT North American Championship. Keith Lee retaining. Boy, Damien Priest, that voice, man. There are certain people you can just close your eyes and you go, I know exactly who that is. Low Key is one of those people. His voice is just, you just know it. You just know it when you hear it. You know, it's like John Madden. It's like Joe Buck. Jim Nance. It's so iconic. You just know the voice. And Damien Priest, you just close your eyes and you go, man, he sounds a lot like Roman Reigns, just a little bit deeper. Almost has a more richer baritone to it there. But then when you open your eyes, hey, who is this? He's got one killer ass voice and just the swag that he has about him and everything. You know, sometimes I just look at him, you know, and I've been looking at him particularly since he's been in NXT, and I can't help but go, man, yeah, could you just imagine Roman Reigns kind of rolling around like this? That'd be kind of badass, wouldn't it? If he was rolling around like that. But yeah, I was always somewhat into the work of Punishment Martinez, but to see him weekly now, getting my fix of him on NXT, he's coming along, man. The charisma is coming together for him, because, you know, weeks prior, that kind of seemed as though that was the one thing he was just slightly in the NXT realm that he was somewhat hurting in or lacking in, and he just seems to be picking that up pretty well. These 2 guys, they gel pretty damn well together in that ring. I gotta give both of these men a lot of freaking props. If I had one gripe with this match, my one gripe with this match, I gotta go with towards the end of the match, and I was about to call him Martinez. You guys gotta forgive me. But Priest, at one point, had grabbed, I guess it was some type of baton. I guess you can electrocute people with it or whatever, or just beat the holy crap out of people with it. Maybe that's what you can do with it. But, you know, he was getting ready to use it on Keith Lee, and Keith Lee just said normal tone, I am limitless. And no, dude, you need to say that shit with authority. You know, I know you're trying to make sure everybody at home can catch it, but you know, you're supposed to be mad, and you're supposed to be, no, I don't play that shit. You know, you're supposed to be, I am limitless. You know, you're supposed to be, and just do whatever. Break that damn baton, whatever. probably my only gripe, and I'm probably nitpicking on that one. But other than that, I mean, those guys, for two big dudes, they had a damn good match together. I loved that. I could have watched them a lot longer than what they had went. I think when you take away the commercials, I would say those guys went about almost 15 minutes, give or take. Loved it. Love those two guys. Damn good matchup there. Keith Lee destroying the hell out of Damien Priest with two spirit bombs to retain his North American Championship. He did that shit with authority, no doubt, no controversy. Damien Priest cannot turn around next week and say, well, see, what happened was he ain't got shit. There was no controversy this go around. Because remember the story arc that they've been giving us for the past couple of weeks and why Damien Priest has been feeling, oh, hey, this is why Keith Lee still has the title. Okay, well, when it was all said and done, you came up just a little bit short, brother. Next go around. It's good match. Good freaking matchup. Keith Lee continued to be impressed, amazed, in awe of that big man. I gotta tell you, for big man, and I don't talk enough about my brothers and sisters over there in NXT, man. But this I gotta say, not to make it be a race thing or anything like that, because I don't like going on the whole race card and everything. But just kind of taking a step back. This was a good week for my people. It was, Keith Lee doing his thing there. My man Willie Mack now the new X Division champion. We had that cute looking black referee, that female referee that a lot of people aren't really talking about. We made a big deal out of Jessica Carr and everything, and that's cool. But we got our first black female referee that refereed a match on Monday Night Raw that kind of went under the radar a little bit, but me and a couple other people had noticed that and was going, hey, who is that homegirl? What's her name? We going to get more of her? What's going on? It was a good week. It was a good week for my people, man. I'm happy with that. Bad week for cats like Velveteen Dream. That's a different story. That's a different story for another time. Anyway, though, good North American Championship matchup. Hey, I show Keith Lee some love. Let me show his woman some love. Mia Yim, Charlotte Flair, non-title matchup. That actually was a pretty good matchup. And I got a correction to make. And I was only going based off of what WWE had laid out. And I was a little bit, I wish I could have caught that, but it didn't really dawn on me until I was watching the show tonight. And I was noticing how the commentators did not even bring that up. And I guess because they put their own foot in their mouths when they were trying to properly set up, this match and everything between Mia Yim and Charlotte. But last week, when Mia Yim had her match, Charlotte Flair came out and basically issued her the challenge, wanted to know if she was up for the task and everything. Mia accepted, said it'd be a great honor and everything. Remember, Charlotte said something along the lines of, I remember when I had first came here to NXT. She said something along those lines, all those years back. And you're kind of going, well, wait a minute now. And this is where I kind of had to, wait a minute. What? So if you know your wrestling history, you know that Mia Yim, especially if you know your wrestlers as well, Mia Yim for a long time, she's wanted to do something with the WWE and everything. And so what they tried to paint last week and setting up the match for this week, the timeline, you get what I'm saying? It's off. If you know your shit, you're going, wait a minute, I call bullshit. That's not accurate. And so if you notice when the match was going on between these girls tonight, commentators did not bring up what we had heard last week, and rightfully so, because that can confuse the living hell out of people. I'm surprised I did not catch that when we were doing the show last week. Maybe because my brain was all over the place. Yay, Purple. Yeah, man, doing pretty good, man. Thank you. Hope you well as well. Yeah, it's pretty weird. I'm a little bit, I'm not beating myself up, but I'm a bit wow, I can't believe I heard that and I wasn't on it after the show was over. Crazy, just crazy. But Mia Yim, Charlotte Flair, good matchup. Got to give those two a lot of props. Charlotte Flair coming out of there on top with the W. Io Shirai, though, making her presence felt, actually telling Charlotte, you and me next week, you got nowhere to run, you got nowhere to hide. So apparently next week, if I have this correct, next week it's supposed to be Charlotte and Io Shirai. I mean, did freaking Charlotte even accept? Like, that's where I'm a little bit confused right now. So kind of weird, but apparently Charlotte next week, Io Shirai. We'll tune in next week and we'll see what happens with that one. We saw the new, I'm going a little bit all over the place, forgive me. We saw the new Candice LeRae. She was in action against my girl Casey Cazzaro. I haven't seen her in a good minute. Is it me, or has Casey lost a little bit more, what's the right word? Has she lost a little bit of weight? Because I don't remember her being so bony. But then again, I haven't seen her in a good while. So, maybe she's always had that kind of build. I don't know. But I was happy to see her again. I wasn't particularly fond of her being fed to Candice LeRae. I'm supposed to take this new evil Candice LeRae seriously with this new evil Johnny Gargano. I told you guys last week, and I'm being consistent here this week. I got to continue on. It ain't doing nothing for me. Sorry. I didn't care for it. Didn't care for it right down to the point. I was actually happy that when I was watching this, it wasn't real time. Because at this point, I'm pretty much, okay, both shows have been recorded. Now I can just go through the commercials and fast forward whatever I find boring. I found myself fast forwarding through this. I particularly, I didn't care. You would think I would have stomached it and tolerated for Casey Catanzaro, but I couldn't. I just couldn't get into it. See, opening up NXT tonight. By the way, we had the return of Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo joined Beth Phoenix and Todd Phillips for commentating. Now, far as I know, from what all I had saw tonight, we never did see Mauro and Beth. We saw Tom, but we never saw Mauro and Beth. So I can't help but wonder, first off, was Mauro and Beth, were they actually there at the arena, or, were they phoning it in? Nothing wrong if they were phoning it in, but for what it was worth, what we had tonight, I was happy to hear Mauro back once again, because it's been a good minute since we heard from Mauro. So I was definitely happy to have him back at the helm, doing what he does best. And not for nothing, Beth, loving her. She's crushing it on commentating. She's crushing it. Opening matchup, interim NXT Championship Tournament. El Hero del Fantasma defeated Isaiah Scott. Was an okay matchup. I could have done without the less flippity-doo-dah, flippity-day. A little bit too much of that for me. But it was good. It was a good match. Post-match, once again, we see freaking... And again, Isaiah Scott defeating El Hero del Fantasma. Post-match, El Hero was jumped once again by those maxed luchadors that tried to jump him last week in the parking lot. What is going on here? What is going on here with that? I gotta tell you something. In a perfect world, if WWE and Alberto Del Rio did patch things up, you wanna make some eyebrows? Ooh. Person behind everything that's happening with Fantasma, for it to be the end result of Alberto Del Rio. pulling the strings. He's pulling the puppets and all that. He's pulling the strings of the puppets, I should say. Now, that would have my attention. That would have my attention. But y'all's guess is as good as mine as far as who is behind these Max Luchadors that's continuing to jump our boy there. There's one other person that I can think of, but I wanna do some research first just to see if he's currently injured, because if he's not injured, there's no reports out there that he is injured, then that's another name that I'll throw at you guys. But I'll throw that name at you guys next week. But for now, I need time to at least do the research to see if that guy that I'm thinking of, if he could possibly be the one behind it as well. All right, next up, Dexter Loomis defeating Shane Thorne. About 3 minutes and some change. You know. Loomis needs to work a little bit more on the selling. I had a problem at one point during this match, right? Thorne was on the offense. He was, getting a couple of shots in there, and I know we're trying to tell this story where, well, look at this crazy son of a bitch Loomis here, otherwise known as Samuel Shaw for you Impact Wrestling fans. You know that, okay, Dexter is supposed to, I don't feel no pain and, all this other stupid shit. But for me, the no selling was just, by him was just, it was too much for me. I can understand it if he was Kevin Nash or Scott Hall height and build back in the heyday and he's no selling like that. But, these two guys are relatively the same height. Almost the same build, with Dexter looking physically better and slightly more intimidating than Shane Thorne and everything. But I had a big problem with the fact that, and I don't think that's Dexter's fault. I think that's ultimately the fault of whoever was laying out this match, telling these guys probably what they needed to go out there and do. Just 2 cents from a distance, and I could be totally wrong with that. Wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last, but I didn't like the no selling that went down in this. If you're trying to sell to me that Dexter has a high tolerance for pain, and that you got to do a lot more than what Shane Thorne was doing to him in this matchup, then you need to sell that on commentating. And even at that, I'm listening to the commentating and it wasn't resonating. It wasn't, what I'm seeing in the match wasn't registering with the commentators. So I think ultimately, as far as how this match was set up and everything, that fault lies on the bookers. So I get with what they were trying to do with Dexter and everything, but I didn't like the overall execution and how it came off. Interim NXT Championship match there, Cruiserweight Championship match. Drake Maverick pulling in the upset victory over Tony Nese. Actually was a good match. I actually enjoyed that one. Yeah, and gotta say I'm a little bit biased right now because I really hope that this is not the end of Drake Maverick in the WWE. I really hope that we all are just getting our leg pulled and it's just part of a story arc or whatever. But I like the guy. I think he has a ton that he can offer still to the WWE. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Him and his beautiful wife. I told you guys, just mind-boggling how she's on the sidelines and they aren't doing anything with her. I mean, look at her. I mean, you can do so much with her. Just have her pop up on TV and, shit, you looking for your next Sable. You're looking for your next Trish Stratus. You're looking for your next freaking Stacy Keibler. You're looking for your next Sunny. There you go. You got all that and then some with a beautiful girl like Renee Michelle. Get to it already. Dropping the ball there, man. Dropping the ball there. Trying to see if there's any other matches that we have missed here while I'm still going through the notes here. Talked about Drake Maverick. We got that. We talked about the NXT North American Championship match. Feels like I'm missing another match in there. But looking at my notes, I'm not seeing any other matches. It looks like I got all of them knocked out. Now, one thing that I do want to touch upon with regards to all of those matches, Finn Balor. Remember how last week he was supposed to have a match there with Velveteen Dream? Well, next week on NXT, not Velveteen Dream. Actually, you know what? Let's stay with Velveteen Dream, because Velveteen Dream is actually supposed to be facing Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. So that's next week. And then also, what I was going to say originally was Finn Balor is going to be back on NXT TV next week. And he's actually going to be calling out the person that attacked him. So your guess is as good as mine as far as who the hell attacked him. I'm totally in the dark right now. I am, and I think a large part of that is because there was 2 weeks worth of episodes I had missed. So I'm kind of going without the full picture here. If I could maybe offer just who I personally would like to see that attacked Finn Balor, that he's going to call out. Well, I'll tell you one person we can eliminate. It ain't going to be Cassius Ohno. It's not going to be him. Oh, God. Let me look at the NXT roster. It ain't going to be Killer Cross. I can tell you that right now. And we did get a spot for Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux. They're actually going to be making, I guess you'd call it their NXT in-ring debut. They're going to be popping up next week, apparently. So, all right, let's look here. Let me see if I can pull up the roster here. Hang on, guys. I'm going to pull up the NXT roster here. And we'll see what we can get here. All right, here we go. I'm looking at the roster as we speak. Who attacked Finn Balor? Long shot. Cameron Grimes jumps out at me off the break. Let's see. Who's another one? Let's see. That would be interesting. I said that would be interesting. I'm looking at Johnny Gargano. That would be kind of interesting, since it kind of seems as though he's not really doing anything right now. That would be kind of interesting. Let's see. Looking at... It's possible it could have been one of the Undisputed guys, too. He's trying to help out their leader. You could also go in that direction if you wanted to. Let me see here. No, I'm not seeing that. No, damn, hell no. I was thinking Kona Reeves there. Nah, not seeing that. Yeah, those are the names that kind of jump out to me right now. I'm not really seeing anybody else there. Let's see. Hang on. Bubba Tunde. Nah. Yeah, those are the names I'm kind of homing in on right now. So I'm homing in on maybe it was one of the Undisputed guys that attacked Finn Balor, or it's a long shot. Maybe Cameron Grimes. I knew I forgot something. We had a silly, stupid-ass bro dating segment tonight. Matt Riddle and poor fucking Timothy Thatcher. But Byron Saxton, boy, he was enjoying that shit a little bit too much tonight, man. It was basically, how well do you know your bros? That basically was the freaking segment. And they did about 3 or 4 rounds where freaking Timothy Thatcher answered whatever questions that freaking Byron Saxton had, and it was just so fucking stupid. I felt my IQ slipping like a mofo, man. So one question they asked was, Timothy, what do you think Matt Riddle had for breakfast? And Thatcher goes, well, I don't know what he had for breakfast. And it turns out that's exactly what freaking, it was, yeah, I didn't laugh during it. I gotta be honest. It was just stupid. I was actually happy to see my boys. Oh God, who are those guys again? Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about those guys. The Imperial. Seeing freaking Imperial's Fabian Ackner and the other guy beat the shit out of them. I was happy when those guys came out, because this segment, it just felt like it was going on and on and on and on and on. I honestly could have felt like it went 5 minutes in the overtime for me. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a hubbub, but I could have done without that. But Byron Saxton, I gotta tell you, man, the positions that Byron Saxton has been put in over the course of the past couple of weeks, he's been crushing them. He's been crushing them. And anytime you've got me feeling as though I want to see something bad happen to Byron Saxton, like for somebody to come out and kick him in the balls or give him another stunner, hey, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I was ready for somebody to knock his damn head off tonight, but it didn't happen. Maybe next week we'll freaking get that. One other interesting note I want to bring to you guys of observation. So apparently WWE is promoting how they're working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now look, I gotta be, again, consistent. I was on this show a couple of weeks ago, 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I said, man, it's kind of fucked up that WWE, far as we know, with their programming shows, their TV programming shows, they aren't doing anything where they've got WWE superstars in some type of a relief aid attempt. Hey, we know that this pandemic is going on right now. We know there are a lot of people that are struggling for blah 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 blah. And we know that first responders are, there's a need for masks, there's a need for gloves, blah 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 blah. And to not see WWE do anything to try to pay it forward, as I like to say it, pay it forward, always forward, and do their part, with relief aid. Wow, what the fuck? But then you see this stuff with Make-A-Wish. Now, hey, I know that's kind of a delicate, but since when have you known me to take little baby steps around something and walking on eggshells? I call it how I see it, and I think that's kind of fucked up, quite honestly, that we can't. All these celebrities, everybody that you can think of is doing their part, and when it counts the most, and it's not like there's no WWE superstars that don't want to touch that subject. You've got people like Paige, hey, tell me what's going on with you. How's things going? You got Paige saying to people, give me your Venmo account or whatever, your Cash App, give me whatever, I'll send you some money. Rusev coughed up, what was it? He coughed up like 25 grand to some of the WWE staff that were without work before he got shown the door. You got all these people that, want to help, and okay, well, if I got to think from a PR standpoint, hey, this makes us look good, but then also look at what we're doing during these times of a pandemic and how we're working together. And I'm seeing no effort being made through WWE programming, and yet we're going to do this thing with Make-A-Wish. Boy, I tell you, that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Marinate on that for a little bit. Marinate on that. You got a rebuttal for that, let me know. I'd like to have a really cool discussion about that one. But yeah, interesting. Just interesting. All right, so other than that, unless there's some other topics you want me to get into that you would just love to pick my brain on, major headline or something like that. Like I said, we're going to bust out some stuff over the weekend, some clips on YouTube. Nothing you've heard before. It'll be some new stuff. So stay connected to the YouTube account. And for those of you that's going to be listening to the audio version of this, youtube.com/the RCWR show. And while you're at it, sign up on Patreon. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio video content you won't be able to find anywhere else. And you can get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. Feels weird. This is a first. We're doing a show that's basically under an hour. I could get used to this, but I gotta tell you, I like diving into other tidbits like we normally do here on the shows. Hopefully this will just be a 1 week deal, and then we can do like we normally do next week. But that's gonna do it until next go round. Wishing all y'all to be safe, most importantly, be kind to one another. I will check you guys out next go round. Adios.